Part 1. Universal Pain. You have felt it. Have you ever had the feeling that you've just walked out of a dense, heavy fog, but you have absolutely no memory of how you got in? It's a strange, disorienting sensation that follows you long after a conversation has ended. A meeting concludes, a phone call clicks off, and you're left with a profound emptiness, a hollow space where your clarity used to be. You find yourself just staring at a wall, at your hands, into the middle distance, wanting nothing more than the world to be silent, because the noise inside your own head is deafening. This isn't the satisfying exhaustion that follows a day of hard work or a meaningful, deep discussion. No, this is a different kind of tired. It's a chilling, vacant exhaustion, the kind that leaves you feeling more like a ghost in your own life than a participant. It's the quiet aftermath of a storm you didn't even see coming. And now you're left to survey the wreckage inside you, wondering what exactly just happened. This is not just fatigue. You must understand this critical distinction. This is a specific and invasive feeling, as if someone reached inside your very soul and siphoned out not just your energy, but your essence. It's the feeling of being spiritually bled dry. The most confusing part is that, on the surface, nothing truly terrible occurred. The person you spoke with didn't shout. They didn't openly insult you or hurl accusations. In fact, they may have been smiling, offering what appeared to be concern or friendly advice. And yet, after they leave, you feel worthless. A deep, unshakable sense of guilt settles in your stomach, a confusion so thick you can't think your way through it. You feel small, incompetent, and utterly alone. This is not a bad mood. This is not a fleeting emotion. This is a poison, administered in such microscopic, subtle doses that you barely notice it going down. It's a toxin designed to bypass your conscious defenses, seeping directly into your spirit, drop by insidious drop. And today, we are going to give a name to the poisoner. We are going to turn on the lights in the room so you can see their face clearly. For years, you've likely explained this away, haven't you? You've blamed it on your own sensitivity. You've told yourself, I'm just taking things too personally, or I need to be stronger. You've chalked it up to external factors, a lack of sleep, the stress of work, maybe even the alignment of the stars or the magnetic pull of the moon. You've rationalized the knot in your stomach as your own anxiety, the cloud in your mind as your own weakness. You've made excuses for them, and in doing so, you've accused yourself. You became the prime suspect in a crime committed against you. But what if I told you that your intuition was right all along? What if that feeling of being drained wasn't a flaw in your character, but an alarm bell? What if that fog wasn't a product of your own mind, but a smokescreen deliberately created by someone else? What if I told you that this unsettling experience is not a random occurrence, but a consistent, targeted, and purposeful attack on your very being? This is not an accident. It is malicious intent. It is a carefully orchestrated assault, masterfully disguised under layers of plausible deniability. But it is absolutely terrifyingly real. The perpetrator is not a clumsy brute. They are an artist of psychological warfare. They know precisely which words to use to sound reasonable while planting seeds of doubt. They know how to phrase a compliment so that it feels like an insult. They have perfected the art of making you feel responsible for their unhappiness, for their disappointment, for the very tension in the room. This attack is happening right now, in quiet living rooms, in busy offices, over text messages and phone calls. It is likely happening within your most trusted circles, perpetrated by people you love, people you rely on, people you have led into the sacred sanctuary of your life. The devastation is not loud or dramatic. It's a quiet erosion of your self-worth, a slow, methodical dismantling of your confidence happening right under your nose. And that is what makes this so profoundly dangerous. The most devastating wounds are never inflicted by a declared enemy on a battlefield. They are inflicted in places we believe are safe, by people we believe are on our side, because the most dangerous enemy you will ever face is the one who has mastered the art of wearing the mask of your best friend. Part 2. Secret. The enemy under the mask. Forget what you've been taught about villains. The true danger doesn't announce its arrival with thunder and lightning. It doesn't break down your door. It is invited in. It arrives softly, with a warm smile, whispering what sounds like friendly advice. It pulls you into a gentle, suffocating embrace. And you mistake the pressure for affection. The most destructive force in your life won't look like an enemy. It will look and feel and sound exactly like your salvation. These people are masters of camouflage. It's the voice of someone you trust, who supports your dreams, but always adds that subtle, but that makes your wings feel heavier. Their weapon is the double message, a masterpiece of cruelty. They serve you love like an exquisite dish, without warning you that it's slowly poisoning your ability to believe in yourself. With one hand, they offer you a rose, while with the other, they discreetly prick you with its thorn. But what is their end game? The reality is far more sinister than simple cruelty. They are not just after your happiness, they are after your reality. Their goal is not to hurt you, it is to erase you. They are architects of a false reality, and for their world to stand, yours must fall. They need to make you doubt your own memory, your perception, your sanity, until you believe you are the problem. Too sensitive, too chaotic. In their story, they are the calm, rational center, and you are the satellite spiraling out of control. They are not trying to win an argument. They are trying to colonize your soul. And yet, this devastating form of warfare is not a mystery. More than a century ago, one brilliant mind journeyed into the deepest cellars of the human psyche. He walked through the shadows that live within us all, faced the monsters we pretend do not exist, and drew a map. He found the code for this darkness, so that when we encountered it, we would not be lost. He gave us the light switch, so that we could finally see the face of the ghost that has been haunting us all along. Part 3. Identification. 3 faces of destruction. And so, we meet the first 3 horsemen of your personal apocalypse. They do not arrive on steeds of fire and famine. They arrive in the guise of a friend, a partner, a family member. They are the eternal victim, the silent judge, and the benevolent dictator. Pay attention. Your freedom depends on it. First, there is the eternal victim. This person inhabits a world of perpetual tragedy, a grand theater of suffering in which they are the forever wronged star. Their problems are not just problems, they are epic sagas of misfortune that eclipse all else. You may have just lost your job, the foundation of your security crumbling beneath your feet. But before you can even finish the sentence, they will counter with a story of a headache so monumental, so existentially devastating, that your professional ruin seems like a minor inconvenience. Their life is a constant, unending crisis, and your role is not to be a friend, but a perpetual audience. They feed on your sympathy like a vampire feeds on blood, draining you of every drop of compassion. You offer solutions, but they are swatted away with a dozen reasons why they won't work. Because you must understand this critical truth. They do not want to be saved. They want to be rescued endlessly. They turn you into a lifeguard, forever diving into their stormy seas, only for them to refuse the life raft every single time. And in this twisted dynamic, your own needs become an inconvenience, your own struggles an insult to their grander suffering. You become a spiritual blood bank for a soul that has no intention of ever healing itself. Next, you will recognize the silent judge. This person is a grand master of covert warfare, an artist of passive aggression. They would never be so crude as to criticize you directly. Oh no, their methods are far more refined. Their weapon is the poisoned dart wrapped in silk. It comes in the form of helpful advice that is, in reality, a judgment of your incompetence. I would never do it that way, but you know what's best for you. It comes as a backhanded compliment that lands with a sickening thud in your stomach. That dress is so brave of you. It really shows you don't care what anyone thinks. Each comment is a carefully placed seed of doubt, designed to blossom into a weed of insecurity within your soul. Their goal is not to build you up, but to make you live in a state of constant low-grade anxiety, forever second-guessing your own worth, your own choices, your own taste. They are the quiet voice in the room that makes you feel perpetually inadequate, as if you are always one step behind, one decision away from making a fool of yourself. They create a prison of self-doubt and convince you that you built it yourself. And finally, perhaps the most insidious of all, the benevolent dictator. This type is the most difficult to spot because they wrap their chains in the velvet of love. Their anthem, their justification for every transgression is always, "I'm only doing this because I care about you." They operate under the guise of your protector, your greatest champion. They give you unsolicited advice on your career, your relationships, your diet, all for your own good, of course. They make decisions for you, filtering your reality through their own fears and ambitions. They gently, lovingly prune your life of friends they don't approve of opportunities they deem too risky, of dreams they find too ambitious. And the most terrifying part, it feels like safety. You mistake their control for stability, their prison for a sanctuary. They are not ruling you with an iron fist. They are suffocating you with a pillow of kindness. Slowly, methodically, they amputate your will, your confidence, your ability to make your own choices until you are utterly dependent on them. They are not your savior. They are your architect, redesigning your life until you are no longer its rightful owner. But their kindness is not sincere, but insidious. If anything happens, they will blame you for everything. But true kindness doesn't manifest like that. It is always noticeable. Do you recognize these faces? Is a name, or perhaps several, flashing in your mind right now? Do you feel that cold, heavy stone of recognition settling in your gut? That feeling is the truth waking up after a long, drugged sleep. But you must understand, the gravest danger is not what they do to you. It's not the stolen energy, the wounded confidence, or the manipulated decisions. The ultimate horror is what they are slowly, methodically turning you into, because their shadow is not just a burden they carry. It is a contagion. They are not just trying to dim your light. They are trying to extinguish it and replace it with their own darkness. And in this war for your spirit, the highest possible price is on the table, your own soul, and you're about to find out just how they plan to collect. Part 4. You are losing yourself. The most terrifying truth is this. They are not just drinking your blood, they are poisoning it. The ultimate horror is not what they take from you, but what they leave behind. Jung knew this with a chilling certainty. He understood that prolonged exposure to a person possessed by their shadow does not just drain you, it activates your shadow. This is not a metaphor. It is a psychological virus. And the symptoms are the slow, horrifying transformation of your own character. You begin your journey with the eternal victim as a wellspring of empathy. You want to help. You want to heal. But after months or years of your compassion being poured into a bottomless pit, something inside you begins to curdle. Your empathy hardens into scar tissue. You start to notice a new, unfamiliar voice in your head, a voice that is cynical, bitter, and dismissive. You find yourself rolling your eyes at a genuine story of hardship from another friend. You hear yourself thinking, everyone has problems, get over it. The well of your compassion has been pumped dry, and what's left at the bottom is a bitter sludge of resentment. You have spent so long in their manufactured darkness that your eyes have forgotten how to see the light in others. Next, you live under the steady, silent gaze of the silent judge. In the beginning, you simply tried to be better, to meet their impossibly high, unspoken standards. But the constant drip of their veiled criticism has eroded your inner foundation. Now, you hear their voice when you are alone. You critique the way you dress, the way you speak, the way you exist. You have internalized your own prosecution, and then the virus spreads. To feel a moment's relief from your own inner trial, you begin to judge others with the same silent, critical eye. You notice the flaw in a colleague's work, the mistake in a friend's reasoning, the crack in someone else's happy facade. The poisoned dart they threw at you is now in your own hand, and you find yourself aiming it, not just at the world, but constantly, mercilessly, at the person in the mirror. And then there is the benevolent dictator. Under their loving, suffocating care, the infection takes one of two forms. Either you surrender, and your own will begin to atrophy like an unused muscle. You lose the ability to make decisions, to trust your own instincts, to even know what you truly want. You become a ghost in your own life, a passive passenger in a vehicle they are driving, and you call this state of spiritual paralysis peace, or the opposite happens. A part of you rebels. But it is not a healthy, assertive rebellion. It is a chaotic, adolescent rage. You lash out, making reckless, self-destructive choices not because you want to, but simply to prove that you can. You burn down parts of your own life just to feel the warmth of a fire you started yourself. Either way, you lose. You become either a puppet or a vandal, but never the master of your own soul. This is the highest stake. You look in the mirror one day, and you do not recognize the person staring back. You see the cold eyes of the cynic. You hear the sharp tongue of the judge. You feel the helpless apathy of the puppet or the pointless rage of the rebel. You have become a distorted echo of the person who hurt you. The philosopher warned us, when you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. When you spend your life wrestling with a monster, you begin to grow claws. Is this your fate? Is this an inescapable sentence to become a copy of the very thing that is destroying you? Is there no way out? You must understand their true objective. They are not just trying to steal your light. They are trying to make you forget that you ever knew how to shine. They want to convince you that this darkness you now feel is your natural state, that the bitterness, the judgment, the apathy, that this is who you truly are. But it is a lie, and the way out is not where you think it is. The way out is not through fighting. Fighting is their language. It is their arena. Engaging them in battle, arguing, defending yourself, trying to make them see the truth is like wrestling with them in the mud. You will both get dirty, but only they will enjoy it. Fighting them on their terms is the one battle you are guaranteed to lose, because in that fight, even if you win the argument, you lose a piece of your soul. So we will not fight. We will do what they fear more than any confrontation, more than any argument, more than any rage. We will do something they cannot comprehend. You are about to be given 2 keys, not to a weapon, but to a doorway. 2 keys that will unlock your chains and allow you to walk away not just free, but more whole than you were before. Part 5. Revelation. Code to Darkness. His name was Carl Gustav Jung, and you must understand, he was not merely a scientist cataloging disorders from a safe clinical distance. He was a cartographer of the soul, an explorer who took a lantern and descended into the terrifying, uncharted territories of the human spirit that most of us are too afraid to even acknowledge exist. He journeyed through the invisible worlds within us, and in the deepest, darkest chambers of the psyche, he came face to face with the monster that haunts us all. He did not run from it. He studied it. He understood it, and he gave it a name, so that when you saw it, you would know it. He called it the shadow. Imagine that the foundation of every human soul has a cellar. In this cellar, we store every part of ourselves that we have been taught to be ashamed of. Every flicker of envy when a friend succeeds, every greedy impulse for more than our share, every surge of rage we suppress behind a polite smile, every cowardly instinct to run when we know we should stand firm. It is the repository for our insecurities, our secret resentments, our unfulfilled desires. A healthy, whole person knows their cellar exists. They may not like what's down there, but they hold the key. They understand that this darkness is a part of them, and by acknowledging it, they can control it. But the people we are talking about, the architects of your exhaustion, they do something far more dangerous. They don't just lock the cellar door. They brick it up. They put a beautiful rug over it, place expensive furniture on top, and pretend with every fiber of their being that it was never there. They build a pristine, perfect life in the rooms above, a life of proclaimed virtue, of unshakable rightness. But the contents of that cellar do not simply vanish. The darkness ferments. The resentment putrefies. The rage builds pressure until it begins to seep through the floorboards. It has to go somewhere. And since they refuse to acknowledge that it is their own, they find a new place to dump it. Your home, your mind, your heart. This is the mechanism he discovered. It is called projection. They take the filth from their own cellar, carry it over to you in unmarked bags, and unload it in the middle of your living room, all while looking you in the eye and asking why you insist on making such a mess. But what does this actually mean? Is this just a beautiful poetic theory? A psychological curiosity? No. This is not a theory. This is the key. It is the code that unlocks every confusing conversation, every baseless accusation, every moment you were left feeling guilty and didn't know why. It is the operating manual for their madness. When they accuse you of being selfish, it's because their own self-absorption is so vast it eclipses the sun. They are the ones who consume all the oxygen in a relationship, who feast on your energy, your time, and your love, and leave you with nothing but scraps. When they call you a manipulator, it's because they are the grand masters of emotional chess, constantly moving people like pawns to serve their own hidden agenda. They see plots and schemes in your every action because that is how their own mind operates. When they tell you that you are too dramatic or always making a scene, it is because they are the secret kings and queens of chaos, thriving on the very drama they pretend to despise. They are not describing you, they are confessing. They are holding up a mirror to their own soul, but they have forced you to stand in front of it, convincing you that the monstrous reflection you both see is your own. And this shadow, this disowned darkness, it does not visit you as a single, shapeless phantom. It is far too clever for that. Over the centuries, it has perfected its disguises. It comes to you wearing familiar faces, speaking in familiar voices. It has 5 preferred masks, 5 distinct identities that it uses to gain entry into your life. And you have met them. Oh, you have absolutely met them. Prepare yourself, because you are about to see their faces in your memory as clearly as if they were standing in the room with you right now. Part 6. Liberation. Reclaiming your light. Your greatest power is not found in winning the war. It is found in the wisdom to refuse to fight it. You cannot beat them at their own game. Because the entire game is rigged, the rules are written in a language of madness, and the only prize for winning is a crown of thorns. Your superpower, the one they never see coming, is to simply walk off their stage, to render yourself invisible to their drama, immune to their poison. This is not an act of surrender, it is an act of supreme sovereignty. And it is accomplished in 2 sacred steps. The first key is consciousness. This is the act of turning on the light in a dark room. The moment they begin their performance, you must learn to stop reacting and start observing. The eternal victim begins their monologue of tragedy, designed to hook your sympathy. Instead of leaning in with concern, a quiet voice in your mind simply says, "Ah, there it is, the victim script." The silent judge fires a backhanded compliment that's meant to sting you for days. Instead of feeling the poison seep in, you mentally label it. And that is the passive-aggressive dart. The benevolent dictator offers their loving, unsolicited advice on how you should live your life. You simply acknowledge it. Projection of control, cloaked in concern. Reclaim your right to choose. Reclaim your right to decide who is worthy of your time, your sacred energy, and your precious light. This is not selfishness. It is the ultimate act of responsible stewardship over the soul you have been given.